Good evening, everybody out there in our Worlds Collide family. We have got a show for you tonight. We have got a double feature. First, starting with three of our top 8 runners of our Moogle Cup 3 going right now. I am in the booth with Drinks Glue. Glue, how are you doing tonight?
Hello, Dwaya. I am doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing really great actually. Happy to be here for this double feature. So we're gonna start off. We've got Mang de la Mang, we've got Phone, and Wander Down for our first race. How do you feel about that?
I feel ecstatic because Mang Della Mang is a returning Moogle from the second edition of Moogle Cup, and he has made quite a few strides. So really excited to what he has in store for us tonight. We also have Wonder Down, who is up and coming Moogle, if you will. He's been in the community not too long, but you would never know it by the way he's been playing lately. And last but not least, we have I think Phone. Phone is the third racer. Yep. We got Phone. Phone is one of the top Jets of Time player. He said, you know what, I want to one of the top Jets of Times players. I want to be one of the top Worlds Colliders as well. So he is here in the Moogle Cup, climbing to the tippy top.
And it has been quite a fun show to watch all the Moogles that have climbed up there, and even the ones that didn't happen to make the top 8, but are in the Moogle Sonata now. All of the races have been absolutely fantastic, and I know all the mentors and Moogles, I'm pretty sure have had a lot of fun doing this for the
Mhm.
third time around.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
loads of fun to help all these people grow in their Worlds Collide journey, but also to meet them, to learn their stories, see them play, see them grow. It's a unique bonding experience that's really cool all around for everybody. Yeah, yeah. So
so
this
go ahead,
past
Blue.
This past Friday, we had two of our runners go head-to-head on Restream for us live, Dragon Lady K and actual JP. And Dragon Lady took down JP 119.21 to 122.12. But that is not actual, well, that is defeat Friday for JP. That is not defeat for him in the Battle Royale phase because our Moogle's goals tonight is to finish in the top 4 because the top 4 of the 8 move on. We have E Ninja, who also ran their run already as well off stream. 141.58 is the time they're submitted. So E Ninja of the 3 in the clubhouse is on the chopping block.
That's true. And as far as that race goes between DLK and actual JP, that is
Mhm.
actually on our Worlds Collide YouTube and
Mhm.
Twitch. So if you didn't
And
catch that race then, you can always go check it out now or
how
after
much
this,
does
I
it
should say.
how much does it cost Way to view that race?
That is absolutely free. Free
Oh,
admission
oh,
for anybody who is interested.
I see. And where is that at?
That would be at our WW6 Worlds Collide on YouTube, I believe.
Very,
You can
very
correct me
nice.
if I'm wrong.
No, that's 100%. And one last question. How much is it again to view that race?
That is absolutely free. However, I will add the caveat in that you can donate to the Save the Umaro Foundation if you would want to while you're viewing that race.
Yes, please do. Tough times around the Save Your Moral Foundation, as I'm sure we'll find out tonight. But nevertheless, Swans will be getting us started momentarily. So again, 3 runners. Their goal is to finish in the top 4 of the 8 in this battle royale portion of the Moogle Cup. And after that top 8, we're cutting it down to 4. Then we're cutting it down to 2 after that. But we got to get to 4 first, and away we
And here
go.
we go.
Okay, so we got
So we have
a lock sets our go-go start. We got dance, we got runic, and obviously we have mimic. Dwayne, what do you think about this start?
Oh, I always like a lock start. I like getting that first weapon shop check as we see Phone doing right here, just to try to get that first Esper piece of progression. Try to get some good stat boost right off the bat.
Hmm. Yeah, we got Mangdell and Mang and Phone both going to Narsh, but just in different worlds. Phone's going to take a little peek at the World of Ruin Narsh weapon shop check, which is one of Locke's. In the Moogle Cup, we do start with a few warp stones. So with this go-go start, if we wanted to go do the Zone Eater check right away, sometimes a barrier to that is the ability to warp out. But in the Moogle Cup, we do get a few warp stones to start, so that barrier is removed. And that's a
And
Mog over at Sisters Free Check.
that is a Mog. I was just gonna say that that Kolingen check is also really nice. Is a really early, fast free check from Setzer.
Mhm.
Um, and having that fourth character there, if they wanted to take a grind fight, that's one extra character to do a little bit of damage,
Yes,
and that
indeed.
opens up more checks in the world too.
Yeah, and another free check we have access to is a Locked Phoenix Cave check, but of the three, it is definitely the longest of the three. But as we saw from Phone, the Narsh Weapon Shop is dead, in that it's only a high tier item, and it's our choice between two high tier items. So, but if we wanted to maybe not push up scaling too high, that does leave that Phoenix Cave check as an option because we wouldn't have four pieces progression to get started with. We could have at most three.
Very true. Another difference we just saw in the Moogle Cup is there are Super Balls for sale in the shops, and Super Balls with a go-go start is fantastic. You can do a lot with that.
Mhm. All right, Dwayne, now you are Dragon Lady K's mentor in the Google Cup, and Dragon Lady came out of the same group as Mingdale and Meng, and in the group phase, everybody races each other at least one time in a round robin format. So that means you have gone head to head with Meng and Possum, their mentor. What can you speak to Meng and what they did in that race, and just how strong of a runner are they?
Meng's a really strong runner. Um, I remember him in Moogle Cup too, and I don't remember if he didn't get to the group phase, but I do remember that he was a good runner then too. Add on the experience between then and now, because I know he participated in Ultros League as well. He's got a lot under his belt to bring to this table. And with Possum as his mentor, Possum is an excellent runner and an excellent teacher. So he's got quite a lot of support in his corner.
Yes, indeed. Possum is a veteran of Mini Randomizer. And speaking of veterans of Mini Randomizer, one pre Fitz is the mentor for Wonder Down. And Fitz, knows one JRPGs like the back of his hand. Couldn't ask for a better mentor there for Wonder Down. And Wonder Down's been on a couple of the restreams already and spoken very highly of Fitz and everything he's brought to the table. And last but not least, down in the bottom left portion of the screen, we have Phone, mentored by Leaf. Leaf is a former Moogle Cup participant herself. Um, Leaf, they also are fantastic Link to the Past runner. I think they are from Free Enterprise as well. But yeah, you have one of the top Jets of Times players, and you pair him with a top randomizer player like Leaf, and it just makes for a really good combination. Um, Fun fact about Phone, Del Duea. Did you know he's crazy?
But no, no,
No,
but what
so
makes you say that?
So what I love about Phone is Phone, as I mentioned, very good Jets of Time, and he does everything like you would expect not someone to do. And he's kind of bring that over to Worlds Collide, and I'm really excited because we have some insider information about the race from the other night, and there's a certain character that some runners chose not to pick, some runners may, but I think deep down I know what Phone's gonna pick.
That insider information, that's all well and good and everything, but are you sure that character is really going to help him?
Oh, absolutely, no doubt in my heart. We'll see when we get there what Phone and everybody else obviously decides. But going back to the action on hand, we see Mang picking up some Super Balls. Super Balls are fantastic at the start, absolutely amazing. They allow you to do unmissable defense ignoring damage on just about anything. Now, how much damage that rolls is up for debate, or up to your RNG actually, but a nice Dragon Solver, a nice first boss killer, allows you to bypass the grind fight you need to get at level 3, so you can walk right up to a Magi Master and be done with the toughest boss in the game with just a few clicks of a button.
Exactly. And with a go-go start, like I said earlier, that is absolute magic when it comes to early on in a seed.
Yes, indeed. The Super Bowl's only arch nemesis are things like tentacles, things like cranes, things like hide-on, things with multiple targets on the screen. But in the 1v1 scenario with the go-go early on, there's no better feeling in the world than being able to drop some Super Balls and get rid of that scary boss before it can have a chance to do anything to you.
For sure. And we're seeing the looting path that, most runners do early on. And we see him pick up a Minerva and an Economizer. And those are going to be very helpful later on, especially whenever we see the skills of some of the characters we're going to pick up.
Yeah, another thing that could really pair very well with that economizer is that in the Moogle Cup we have Ultima turned on, and not only is it turned on, but is restored to its original 80 MP cost. So Ultima already very powerful at its original MP cost, arguably broken. With an economizer, say less. Sign me up every day and twice on Sunday. Something we may see as well coming up if not just Ultima as well with economizer. When you have early levels, level 3, you just don't have the MP to cost anything of value. But if you have like a war character or like a natural magic character who would like, lux into a Ice 3 at the start, you don't have to worry about getting some levels to cast it. You just slap the economizer on, and you have immediate unlimited access to a very powerful spell.
Speaking of very powerful, we mentioned the weapon shop check and it being a dead check,
Mhm.
but we do know that people picked up a Valiant Knife. And with Locke as a natural user, that's some very early offense as well.
Yes, indeed. How does the
Fast
Valiant Knife?
offense.
How does the Valiant Knife work, Joya?
Well, the Valiant Knife, it does pretty good base damage, but what it really does is it will take the difference between your max HP and your current HP and add that to the damage that VK is going to do.
Mhm.
So if you're at, 7,000 max HP and you're down to 2,000, that's going to be 5,000 damage added to each swing. So if you get an offering, that is 20k damage right there.
Yep, and if we do stumble across an offering with that VK, it will never miss. It's damage that will never be subtracted. It's damage that will never miss. It is arguably the best starting item combination in the game you can have. Really powerful right off the gate so far. We're seeing a little different paths. We've seen some traditional looting paths, but it looks like we see Wonder Down now is going to go see what's going on with this Mog situation up top at Narsh.
The nice thing about this is it gives you a lot of information. It showed that we have Gal behind Yeti, so if we find Yumaro, when we find Yumaro, we know that a character's there.
Mhm.
You will also get to see what's at Kefka at Narsh, so if there was a character sprite, you'd know that another piece of that world unlocking progression is there as well. Unfortunately, we just see a generic sprite along with this ghost, so we know that the possibility is 2 Espers.
Mhm.
Or another Valiant
Ooh.
Knife.
Yeah, another Valiant Knife. We never say no to a second Valiant Knife. A third one, that's a little too much, but two is the sweet amount.
Only because you have 2 arms. If you had a third Valiant Knife would be great.
All right, so that is Super Balls in Zen as well, it looks like, along with a 65k Zen Thief Esper. That's about as expensive as a Zen Thief as you can get. Um, Looks like Wonder Down's going to get his Esper from the Mog check, bypass Kefka and Arsh. I like this in the sense that Kefka and Arsh and pairing it with Lone Wolf is nice and all. But with Setzer and Lock and Store, we do have access to some faster checks. So it's one of those things like maybe I think I want to do these two because they're long and annoying, but they happen to, pair nicely with each other. I like what Wonder Down's doing here where he's saying, you know what? Nope on either of those. Let me just get what I want, get out of here, and then move on and go about my business.
Well, exactly, because, Wander Down's only level 3 still, so
Mm.
if there's a really, really nasty boss there, you've wasted all that time, and you can't beat it.
Yeah.
So pairing exactly with what you said, there's faster checks out there,
Yeah.
and
Plus,
since he has that knowledge, he can always go back if he needs to.
yeah. Plus, it's nice to know that like there's 27 espers and there's 14 characters, so you're gonna, or excuse me, 11 characters out there to find. So you're gonna find a lot more espers before you find characters. But it does feel really, really nice to know that hey, I know there's a character not up here, so now I don't have to worry about ever coming back. It does get a little awkward sometimes when you know a character's up there, but at least you can log away. Instead of doing things like burning house, instead of going in the Phoenix Cave, I know there's a character here. I can just come back and with a guaranteed character.
Yes, and Schwantz, thank you for taking care of that question in chat. Schwantz is our restreamer tonight, so a big thank you and show some love and support to him for helping us put on this show. And also, this is a good time to say a little thanks to Sigil in the background, who is helping Schwantz push buttons to keep us honest and keep us in line.
Yeah. Sinjul, fantastic Z1R player, fantastic up and coming Super Mario Bros. 3 player. Not a bad World Slider as well, so thank you, fellas, for all your work tonight. Right, so
I plan on.
We got some
Go ahead.
loopers, and that's not the first fight you want to see. Maybe if you have a 13 metal curse shield you're trying to do, but it looks like we've noped out of that.
Yeah, those levers, I mean, it's the first fight, almost the first fight that you take in the game. First fight on the overworld you take in the game. So they're not going to be very good XP. Definitely not anything you want to see for a grind fight.
And it looks like we got Wonder down. Backtracking a little bit, he's going to do some looting in the South Figueroa basement. Remember, we do have those Super Balls in tow. This is Io. I like Io as a rage, less so as a boss I'm fighting early on because he does have access to some annoying abilities. Plus, he is a Kefka Tower boss, so he has all of those inherent things you would expect from an endgame, so not boss, but a Kefka Tower's enemy.
Yeah, these grind fights that Phone are trying to take, just not paying off. Probably not what he's wanting to see at all. So I'm wondering if after this, if he's going to move on and try to do a dragon, if he picked up those Super Balls, or just try to grind somewhere else, say like the South Figueroa Cave right before the Healing Spring.
Oh, Bones through the IO. Looks like he's going to do a few more fights. We got Mang making his way on over to Collagen. Mang should now get his Mog for doing this. Wonder down, learning the hard way that unfortunately the back door in the World of Balance South Figure was closed. It's sparked by that, blocked by that fellow who doesn't want to move for some reason. Yeah, Mang's got his Mog, so now the world is his oyster.
Or at least his dance stage. You know, Mog. But, you know, I like what he's doing. I like doing the Setzer checks all in the World of Ruin, because if you wanted to, you could hit this, you could hit Tomb, and you could hit Search the Skies without ever flipping worlds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's like an underrated aspect about Setzer in general, is that in like 5-ish minutes you can do 3 checks all together, all in one. Mang deciding, looks like Mang's gonna head on over to Zone Eater.
I like this early on, because Google only has 1 check. So if it opens up characters for you, you're either going to do it early or you're going to feel really bad doing it late.
Yeah, especially we start with
goal first.
Yeah, we do start with 3 warp stones as well, right? So this totally makes sense here, especially just going to grab Mog. You did your forced party reform at Colingen Inn, so you might as well get go and get going. With Super Balls, you kind of want to push the scaling a little bit, right? In order to make the most effective use out of it. It's just a matter of, can we get past our little grabby leprechauns, and it looks like Mang is through.
Yeah, that pause buffering really helps with those.
Alright, so Phone already out to level 12 here, so one good thing about taking off the Moogle Charm, he is definitely ahead in terms of levels on the rest of our runners, and Wander Down doesn't even want to get back in the airship, just walking over to the South Figueroa Cave. Gotta love when that happens.
I mean, there is an argument for that, because that would be saving 2 screen transitions, correct? One from going up in the airship and going down.
It's probably faster to walk there, but it certainly hurts the legs.
Well, you gotta get your steps in, you know. And if we're not gonna climb Fanatic's Tower, then this is the way you do it.
Yeah, somebody's got to put some mileage on that Fitbit there. All right, so what is at the end of the Zone Eater Cave here? Mang is going to show us that. Meanwhile, Phone going for a night at the Opera here. Going to be our first Dragon Slayer of the stream. So we'll see what this gets for him.
I've been waiting for this. I want to see a dragon go down, and White Dragon is not a fun one to see early on.
No. We do have Runic, which could help with, you know, the incoming enemy attacks. And oh my goodness, level question, Pearl. No!
Oh no!
You hate to see it happen, folks.
Oh, lock is up! Lock is up!
Yeah. Ooh.
And the dragon is dead. I mean, at least he got through it.
Do you reset there, Dwyer, and just do that again and hope for better luck, or do you just say, forget it, I'm out of here, let's just take the money and run?
Okay, so this is super situational for me. Normally, I'd say I might reset and try it again. However, Flock is the one person I probably want levels on because of that VK, so I think I would keep going.
Yeah. I mean, he did get 12 other levels on his couple of other characters, right? So it's not so bad. I think maybe if he was on level 3, we might be singing a different tune here, but you don't want to reset, and he's gotten out of it there. Mang is going to do the same thing, it looks like, but they have an Esper, so I didn't quite see what was on the Esper that we got at Zone Eater. Did you happen to catch that?
I didn't. I'm not really sure if he even looked at it. I just know it was Raiden, I believe.
All right, Phone going to head into the inn here. Not something you see very often in a race. But hey,
no,
you gotta heal your characters somehow. All right, let's see if Mang passes the level question Pearl check here. So
I have a question for you.
Yeah, so that spell will hit if your money is divided by your level, right? If the ones digit in your money is the same as the ones digit in your level. Is that what you're trying to ask?
Okay. Yeah, I was, because I've played this game for years and have not figured out how that works.
Yeah, it's just getting super duper unlucky. Unless you're a fan of GP manipulation. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, listen, I'm not smart enough to GP manipulate anything. What I was gonna say is Wanderdown got really lucky with that stone only hitting one character as opposed to confusing his whole party with that Atma.
Yeah, self-Super Ball to the face is never fun. Unfortunately, that was the last Super Ball, and Go-Go is dead. So, how is Wanderdown going to get through this here? I did spot on one of our Rage lists, or rather, on one of our dance lists, we had Elfire and Rage in the top 2 slots, which is actually a pretty decent dance. A single-target fire spell and an AoE non-elemental. However, Setzer's magic power is probably pretty bad.
Yeah, and Mog can't use that Pearl because Atma absorbs any element that isn't the first 3, the Fire, Bolt, and Ice.
Alright, so Sigil, our wonderful, illustrious tracker, pointing out in the chat, Raiden had Ultima on it. Oh, man. So we didn't even need to go through the 13 Battle Curse shields in order to get Ultima. We just had to go to Zone Eater for it.
Okay, so we've seen some really interesting pieces of a puzzle here. We've seen an Esper with Ultima, we've seen an Economizer, and that Mog has Quick.
Oh boy. Coliseum dip here from Mang. There's a Thunder Shield. That's the only thing I've seen thus far that's worth hanging on to. Yep, that's about it, unfortunately.
Yeah,
in the Moogle Cup with with Ultima being only 80 MP instead of the standard, or not yeah, I guess it is kind of standard, 254. It's a little bit better to have the Economizer, but as you mentioned, Dwyer, throwing Quick with that makes it even better. Golem, our Calmness protection with a magic power +1 and life 3 on it as well. So pretty decent Esper, and Osmose in case you want to get rid of that Economizer later on in the seed.
Yeah, what a pair. I like that.
Phone, meanwhile, heading into Phoenix Cave, as you heard Drinks Glue talk about before. A little bit of an unorthodox play. However, I think Phoenix Cave is usually something that runners will do earlier versus later, and this is no different here.
Yeah, I have a hard time doing Phoenix Cave early and not take the dragon. So I am guessing that Phone is probably not going to, because he probably used his Super Balls on the white dragon.
Yeah, that's fair. This might be one of those situations where they are going to take some free checks after taking a check with a boss in it, and sort of like alternate between free check and not free check, because what you don't want to have happen is stack up a bunch of free checks all next to each other, all in a row, and have progression get out of hand. We had Zone Eater, we had Narsh Weapon Shop, and we had Colin Janin just to start. Then we got Mog, which is also Lone Wolf. So that's 4 free checks you could basically do right there before doing anything. So you kind of want to balance the fights that you take throughout the seed here.
Very true. And Zone Eater is not being as nice to Wander Down as it was to Mang, putting out a Demi before the Engulf.
Yeah, thankfully Mog has the health ability there, so they are going to get their Esper at the end of the Zone Eater belly here. Mang showing us some new 411. We're in Daryl's Tomb. Now, with a Valiant Knife, Dwaya, are you checking this monster in a box here as we're going through it?
Oh, heck yeah, I am. We're still really early levels, so it's gonna be a hard fight, but I want that offering with that BK.
Yeah, there are a bunch of different places that have monster in a boxes, but this is the only one that we currently have access to, other than the one in the Narsh classroom, so we might as well try and hit this one up, and it does look like that is the goal here. It is the Blue Durgan in Phoenix Cave, and Phone does have a couple of Super Balls left over. One of them will do the trick, so nicely done. That's Dragon number 2 for them as well.
Yeah, and that is more levels for his Lock. I hope that he's going to take Lock to the end, because getting these early levels for him is really pumping him up to do some good damage, especially with a Genji Glove if we get that other Valiant Knife from the Mog check.
Yeah, we could always go back in the World of Ruin to go get it, although I would like to pair it maybe with a Umaro visit or a Tritalk visit. And hey, there is a realm in Phoenix Cave. So a potential other way through the seed here, as we do see Edgar is sleeping in Daryl's tomb. So already we have some good divergence here, 22 minutes into the seed.
Okay, so the interesting thing about the Realm and Edgar thing, Realm naturally has super high magic. However, Edgar naturally has a super great equip pool. So which one do you prefer?
Well, we already have a Pearl Lance from the White Dragon that we slayed right at the Opera House. And I know the Dragoon Boots were for sale because I know that Phone bought one of them, and that's what they are using for their Setzer build. So we could definitely do a jump build with Edgar for Mang. And then for Phone's sake, he better somehow stumble his way into the Zone Eater cave to get that Ultima Esper for Realm. Or let's see if we find some other good Espers along the way, because I don't think we've seen very much offensive potency outside of that Pearl and Ultima spells.
Right, and that VK. Oh, no, you're talking magic offense.
Yes.
Yeah, magic offense. Yeah, we haven't seen much. I'm really curious if we're going to see any tier 3 spells. Big blue bubbles are nice, but big blue bubbles are also very slow.
Yeah, especially on this fight, it's atrocious.
Oh, Rexol. I mean, at least he doesn't do a zinger, but having to wait for those little guys to despawn and respawn just to kill the boss is pretty annoying.
Mang does get through, though, because his other alternative was Valiant Knife and Hope, because it will absorb Pearl, which is the other offensive spell that I mentioned that we have there. But it does look like we learned some Bolt too, so it looks like Mang did pick up that Thunder Shield from the Coliseum after all, and that is an Edgar with lore attached to it, so we'll see if there's any fun spells that our king can use.
Yeah, I mean, so that... Who do you put the Economizer on at that point? If Edgar has something like Grand Drain, do you put it on him, or do you keep it on Mog with that quick Pearl?
Yeah, I think it's still got to go on our Ultima user. Ultima will cost more than Grand Train will. Do more damage. But yeah, I'd have to go, use the strategy that you had just mentioned there.
Yeah, I agree. And we see that Phone picks up their Golem with the Magic Power and the Life 3 and the Osmos. That is going to probably live on Realm until she needs to learn a different spell.
Yeah, I think that's Phone's first Esper of the seed there. Mang, meanwhile, is going to do some party rearranging. It looks like Edgar did come in. I did not see who went out, but it might be Setzer based on the fact that I think Gogo is still in their party and Mog was using the Ultima. So, so long, Setzer. Thanks for your airship. But I need my discount.
Yeah, I mean, Setzer's a naturally gifted airship pilot. I'm sure he's right at home there.
Alright, so Realm's Esper Mountain is one of 2 checks that they open up, and Phone sees a merchant sprite. And there is our Umaro on the throne. So Mang already has 6 characters, and Dwyer, we know where a 7th is as well.
I know, but surely you don't go do the Yeti check with 6 characters. You don't go all the way.
No, absolutely not. We've got plenty of time to go get Gao for a bit later on. We still have all of Edgar's stuff to do. We have Mog's entire loop to do. Maybe Mang doesn't know that Gao is there yet. Maybe they'll go do the Mog stuff next. But we still have a bunch more checks. However, we also don't have a lot more checks because Yeti only opens up 1, Gogo opens up 1, Mog is 2, Setzer is 2 checks that can be characters, right? And then our others are 3. So we don't actually have access to that many checks right now, believe it or not.
Yeah, that is true. Okay, so Mang has the Cursed Shield on. Looks like he's going to try to unlock that Paladin Shield and another way to learn Ultima, perhaps? If that's even important to it. Probably more for the defense than anything.
Yeah, you can pass that Cursed Shield, or rather the Paladin Shield, when you do uncurse it around inside of Kefka's Tower if you really need to. Maybe he spotted an Atma weapon build that we sort of missed here. I'm not quite sure. But at 13 battles, it would have to be... Yeah, that's kind of rough. I think that's right at the edge of acceptability for me at 13.
Yeah, very true. But Phone down here is having to fight Doom. You want to talk about a late game Kefka Tower boss. And this Doom is in his 2nd phase, so it's very hard to hit, but Phone gets through it. Way to go, Phone.
Yeah, having that jump Setzer build with the Pearl Lance will really help out that particular fight right there. And yeah, gets it done. Gonna have Realm learn some stuff. Unfortunately, they still don't have an offensive spell on them, but we'll get Odin there. And that has Pearl at a 20 times rate, so at least they will be able to cast some offensive spells. Little bit of Pearl Wind there from Edgar on the lore list. I did spot that one very, very quickly. So if we have Edgar, we're not going to have to worry about curative magic for the rest of the seed, which is always nice because you're never guaranteed to find any heals.
That's very true. I've played way too many seeds lately where Shield Strat Healing and Pearl Wind or Mantra has been my go-to, and it's always uncomfortable.
Alright, Phone here doing the 30-minute Colingen in check. Getting Mog with health, and it looks like he's got a decision to make here. And it looks like Gogo is out, Mog is in. And we'll see where they decide to go next. Not a lot of Espers going around, and oh no! It's a disaster! Thank goodness that was such a bad Super Bowl roll. Oh my gosh.
Oh, however, Locke's probably swinging that VK, so,
Oh boy. Oh no.
Oh no, here comes a Water Edge!
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a reset.
Atma not playing around.
Oh.
Yes.
No, that admin needs to go back to his toilet.
Yeah, Gogo thankfully did not roll all that high. Unfortunately, Atma had other ideas there.
That's true. And on Wander Downside, this Rexol's not being very kind to them.
Yeah, I don't think we have a very good party at this point for this fight. We just have Valiant Knife and Offering, right? Because, as we mentioned, Pearl can't really damage this boss. Ultima is a slog because it takes a very long amount of time here. So your best bet is to just swing away. And I think all 4 of our runners are going to be fighting Rexel at almost the same time. Wander Down finally getting through that fight first. Did Mang get set back a check or two? I think they might have.
Yeah, I don't think Mang saved because I was like, he had done that fight. Oh, that is quite unfortunate. It always feels bad whenever you forget to save and you wipe or reset. And yeah, that is very unfortunate for Mang. But you know what? I think that he'll be able to come through it and make up that time.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate having to go back through this fight again. However, they already know that Yeti is the prize, if you will, on the Figaro throne. And I don't know if they know that Gao is after Yeti, so maybe this reset gets to him, hey, let me go get Umaro a little bit later on in the seed, because I know that Umaro leads to another character, and I don't really need another character at this point, right? So maybe it's a good thing to pivot from this to something else.
Yes, I think you're right. However, I don't think Mang has that knowledge.
Yeah.
So, if Mang doesn't have that knowledge, then you're looking at, well, I can go blind check Yeti by doing Dragon Tritalk Yeti check.
Yeah. Because they didn't do any of the Mog stuff either, right? So.
No, not yet.
All right. So
we've got Master Pug down on Phone side. That is not a good fight to take.
No.
If I was Phone, I would be warp stoning out of this or smoke bombing out of this because Master Pug doesn't give you anything really good.
Yeah, as Gar likes to say, Master P, make him say, because we don't want to fight that. Get out of here.
Oh my god.
Meanwhile, Mang threw that Rexel fight, getting their Edgar back for the second time. And Wander Down going to go see about some discounts here in the World of Ruin, South Figaro. So what have we not seen yet here, Delia? We obviously know that Umaro is Gao, and we haven't seen Moogle defense, I think, but other than that, we've seen most of our original characters' checks up to this point.
Yes, we have. Between all 3 runners, we have seen them all. Now in our, I guess you'd say our second sphere checks, we haven't seen Owser's Mansion, and now we haven't seen Ancient Cave or South Figaro World of Ruin Cave.
Alright, so now as the seed sort of spirals out, remember every Worlds Collide seed has logic to let you know that you are able to obtain all 14 characters, and thus by default getting all of the Espers as well. So we've got to have a way to get all of our characters through the seed, and it's up to the runners to find that out. But we already know the location of 8 different characters between all of the runners here.
So let me ask you this. Whenever you play, do you like finding more characters first, or do you like finding more Espers first?
I think it depends, because if I find more Espers first, and if there was a character that I skipped over, then I'm in my head thinking, oh my god, my opponent got this character first, and they are so far ahead of me, I have already lost this race, right? So it's not a good mental state to be in that. However, if you get a lot of characters at once, then the world is completely open to you, and then you get the analysis paralysis and the, oh my goodness, what if I picked the wrong choices here? So basically, this game is not good for your mental health. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, Worlds Collide does a lot of mental damage. I like that you use the term analysis paralysis, because I think that every time that I get a whole bunch of characters.
Yeah, I mean, the good news about getting a bunch of characters is it allows you to more quickly figure out what your 4 endgame builds are going to be, and you get to make some calculated guesses as to where the stuff you need to go get is. You can make decisions about, well, this check is shorter than that one, and this other check I can peek, but this one I can't, so let's save the peekable checks for later, right? It all depends on what your character count is. So I'd rather have the characters up front, versus all of the espers up front, because it gives me more of a choice to kind of map out a game plan there. Of course, that might all go to you-know-what if I pick the wrong choices, obviously. But I like to have the freedom to shoot myself in the foot, like Mang did here by not activating Lone Wolf.
My signature mess up. That you have to go to the shed to activate Lone Wolf. Otherwise, you climb that mountain and realize there's nothing up there. However, Mang does get that information of Gallet Yeti. So,
you are
hooray.
Not officially a Worlds Collide runner until you do that, so... Everybody does it. Rite of passage.
Yep. Leave off your Moogle charm, not activate Lone Wolf, fight Stooges and Spaghetti. As we see Phone and Wander Down doing at the same time.
Throwing a heal rod at yourself, yeah, there's a bunch of them that that you could rattle off there. Alright, so...
I have yet to throw a heal rod at myself.
Oh, okay. Well, now you know to be on the lookout for it.
Oh yeah, it's coming. It's gonna happen.
Alright, so we did actually end up getting fixed dice somewhere. I just saw Mang. Maybe that was from one of the dragons. So that must be what Phone's Setzer build is. The jumping with the fixed dice there. That makes a lot of sense. Three Stooges on some grabby pasta tentacles here. Not exactly great. But we've got Big Blue Bubble, so this shouldn't be too big of a deal.
No, the worst thing that could happen is you kill all three of them at once, and they all three death counter on you. But I think our levels are probably high enough that we can survive it.
Ooh, and we get a Valiant Knife number 3 that we know of in the seed here at the engine room. And we did pick a Genji glove at some point for Phone, so they are going to do the double swipe here. The Tinder tactics, swiping left and swiping right at the same time.
Doesn't that, like, create some kind of paradox and the world ends or something?
I guess so, here.
I don't know, I'm not a Tinder person, so...
No, I don't know how those apps work. I am very glad that I have never had to date in a very long time. Anyway,
Yeah.
So, Phone here is going to go through the Ancient Castle, so this is probably the best time to do it. It is a bit of a longer check. There is a dragon down there, but if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right now.
Not only that, but there's 2 monsters in boxes down there, so if you're offering hunting, I mean, that's 2 extra monsters in boxes to try to get that katana soul.
Yeah, and then we will be at our 8 Valiant Knife swings instead of just 2 there, so it looked like they were thinking about pulling the Monster in a Box chest now, but there is a save point if you continue on a little bit later, so most runners will hit up the save point first and then backtrack for that other Monster in a Box on the way out, so that looks like that's the strategy here. Just one more Stooge left for Wander Down. Make that 0. See you later, Larry. Thanks for hanging out. And Mang is going to do Kefket Narsh. We did not see what this reward was, right, from Wander Down, because they walked right past it.
And let's see, we're going to finally see Kefket Narsh. Yeah, you're right. Like you said. Okay, so now one of the things that you can do for this check is do the Kefket Narsh skip. So I'm really curious, which way is he going to go? Yep, he's going to try to go the quick way, and masterful. That was beautiful.
Alright, Skulldurgan for Phone, and it is Ultros and Chupon there for Mang de la Mang. So Wander Down, avoiding a 0 XP fight, which is, I think, very good when you were early on in the seed, because if you're going to fight a fight, you're going to want to have it give you some experience here.
Yeah, I always hate when this fight shows up. It is just a big time waste. You get nothing from it. And you get a lot of snot.
Yeah, speaking of snot, it seemed that Drinks Glue had to dip out for a bit, so I will be taking over for his spot for the commentary here. So, sorry, Moogles in the chat, if you're hoping to hear some more Drinks Glue. You're stuck with me instead.
Hold up. Please explain that segue.
I think somebody had to go to urgent care, or somebody got sick. So.
No, the snot to Drink's glue leaving. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Oh no! He messaged me and he said I'm not going to come back. I'm not coming back because I have to go to urgent care. So snot, sick, glue. Anyway,
Okay,
it's
fair
a whole
enough.
thing. Phone, meanwhile, getting an ammo weapon from the Dragon Drop, and that Starlet has Tre Fuego on it. So good to see. Finally, we get a tier 3 spell in the seed somewhere.
That is good to see, because of all the tier 3 spells, I think Fire 3 is the most valuable.
Yeah, a lot of bosses are weak to fire, and you can unfreeze yourself if you get N-crossed, which is kind of a pain point for a lot of our runners here. Mang, meanwhile, does scope out the Moogle defense check, and it is a Moogle that we have to rescue, so this is not a character here. So potential Esper for our Narsh loop here.
That is a really nice Narsh loop. Hopefully it's not a dead check, so that you can get the full trio, and that will feel good, because the Narsh checks are kind of long.
Yeah, they're clumped together, but there are a lot of cutscenes involved. With the Kefka Narsh little cutscene that you have to sit through. There is this one here where you have to drop through the hole and watch the reward get on the ground, and then you have to wait for all these soldiers to get in their right formations in both the Kefka Narsh fight and the Moogle defense fight. So yeah, it's a bit of a longer loop here, even though they're compacted quite heavily together. Oh no! Ooh.
Well, but we have a solution. We're okay.
Well, what's our solution?
Well, our solution is Quick Ultima, but
Okay. I don't think we can.
but this
afford
is
Quick
still a very
Ultima.
nasty boss.
Yeah.
Oh, because we not on Go-Go, but on Mog
Okay.
with that
perfect.
economizer.
Here we
Yeah.
go. All right, we definitely don't
just
have
gotta
Berserk.
survive.
Yeah, we definitely don't have Berserk, but we could definitely do a quick here. So an interesting thing about quick is that it does not allow things to counterattack between the first and second move that you make. So if you use quick to start the Magimaster fight, you could actually cast elemental inducing damage, and Magimaster won't wall change until the second hit that you see here for Mang. So
Okay,
really
but
nice heads
did you
up
just
play
see
for
what he
them.
did?
A little.
That was genius.
Yeah.
The quick into Super Ball mimic the Super Ball. I love it.
Desperate times call for desperate measures, right?
Well, they require Super Balls. That's what they call for.
Yes. Yeah. That was a really good heads up play there. And now we're getting to
Yes,
see more 1 MP Ultima.
And you'd love to see that. Okay, Schwans, we are 43 minutes in. Lemang has 6 characters, 4 Espers. Wanderdown has 5 characters, 4 Espers. And Phone has 6 characters, 4 Espers, with 3 dragons, so 2 more than the other runners.
Oh my god.
This is a really close race.
Another Valiant Knife. They're we're out here carving everything up. Meanwhile, Phone does find the Yeti, and the Yeti can also wear the Valiant Knife. So we could actually have 2 different characters with Valiant Knives here if we so choose to do so. Mang getting through that Magimaster fight, very, very nice here. Unfortunately, not what we want. So I think, Dwight, we're going to have to go get Gao at some point, because I don't think we have enough checks to get to 9 Espers between what we know from all of our runners.
Okay, so Phone has not done Bowser's, so we don't know what's there.
Mm-hmm.
And Mang and Wanderdown don't have Realm, so they don't have Esper Cave. Yeah, it's going to be really hard to get to those Espers. Now, there's still the Tritalk spot, so we don't know if that's an Esper.
We do know that Zen Thief is an Esper, and none of our runners have bought it yet. It's like 44,000 in the World of Ruin, and basically max price in the World of Balance. So there's another one there. But I'm struggling to find a way that we get all the way to 9, even if we hit on all of those checks.
So at this point, are you thinking in the back of your mind, start saving up money for auction house?
Oh boy. I'd rather do Gao's 2 checks than auction house. Unless I don't have dried meat. If I don't have dried meat, then Gao's check is a little bit less desirable for me. Because nothing feels worse than going on a 45-minute dried meat hunt.
I don't even know if we've seen it. That was not something that was on my radar early on to look for, so I'm not even sure if any of our runners have picked that up. Alright, so we are getting... Okay, we're getting a dragon and tri-talk spot for both Mang and Phone. And that's a dirt Durgan.
Yuck. Did nobody do Search the Skies yet? No, this is Cranes. Mang did this.
Yeah, Mang has done Search the Skies.
Yes.
Now I'm not entirely sure about Phone.
Yeah, I know Wander Down accidentally ran into this at the very beginning of the seed. So they knew that this was here. And with the power that they have, this shouldn't be too big of a problem.
Oh, no. No. And Edgar swinging that Atma weapon, that's going to help out, too.
So the weird thing about... Oh, there's your offering. Hello.
Oh, it is on now. Locke just came online, and he is Super Locke.
Or in Phone's case, it'll be Super Yeti.
I mean, Glue would be so happy.
Of course, he has to miss out on the Umaro action here.
Well, we'll send him like a decorated cake with a Yeti on it, saying sorry we missed you.
Yeah. A little Yeti get well soon balloon.
There we go. Okay, so Yeti has Octo Atma stats online. You know, the only unfortunate thing about that is if they have like an HP plus Esper, it can't go on Yeti to really boost up that Valiant Knife. Whereas if it went on Locke, you can boost that up.
Yeah.
That's a Doomgate. That's nasty.
Yeah, and Yeti also has a chance to use Body Slam instead of Fight. So, Yeti not exactly ideal for our Valiant Knife user with the offering, but I'll let it slide since I know I'd get some pushback from Glue if he was here.
Now, what I would like to see on Yeti is Lightsaber Yeti. I do like Yeti with an Atma weapon.
Yeah, because it's very easy to keep Yeti at very high HP, so that's also a really good usage here. However, between
Absolutely.
the 8 Valiant Knife swings and the 1 lightsaber swing, Mang is just carving up a little bit of Doomgaze there.
And Phone's going to get his Yeti back up, and those Valiant Knives are going to do even more damage based on that low HP. We just got to let Yeti swing. That's not going to work.
Ugh, another dead check, but another Genji glove! Alright, we can put even more Valiant Knives on our team. There we go. There's the Genji glove, double Valiant Knife offering is online there for Mang as well. Yeah, so we have found 1 offering, 2 Genji gloves, and 4 Valiant Knives so far in this seed.
And we see Mang jumping down to do the Yeti check to pick up his Gao. So I am guessing in Mang's mind, he's also trying to figure out, where am I going to find these Espers?
Yeah, we are quickly running out of spots.
I mean, the nice thing about the Velt check is it is guaranteed progression. So hopefully that goes the Esper route and not the extra character route.
Yeah, the problem, Dwyer, is, as I mentioned earlier, with the logic of the seed, as Wanderdown does buy Bismarck there, as the Tizem Thief Esper, logic dictates that we need to be able to get to access all of the characters in the seed, and since Gao has only 2 checks, that means that chances are very high probability that one of Velt or Serpent Trench will be a character unless our character is at Bowser's Mansion, right? That's the only other check I think we haven't seen between all of our runners.
Yeah, I think you're right. Have not seen Owzers. And I can tell you from running with Dragon Lady K, I don't know what Owzers is at all. This will be a complete surprise to me.
Alright, so Yeti just chopping down Vargas and the Ipoos like the bones in his little cave there. And that is Gao as character number 7 there for Mang, with Blitz and X-Magic.
Ooh. So do you keep the Gao?
No.
Yeah.
I love Gao, but at this point, my party is pretty settled, right? I have my Ultimate Caster, I have my Valiant Knife users, I have my Fixed Dice with Setzer, if I'm still using that, or my Atma Weapon with Edgar, if I'm using that. So I think my party is set at this point. Blitz is very nice when you can get to Bum Rush, but we're only at level 30, and I know we still have a lot more Espers to go, but I don't foresee us getting to 42 until just at Kefka's Tower. And then the question becomes, does the 1 minute long cutscene of Bum Rush save you more than a minute in the rest of your run, right? And I don't know if the answer is yes.
Yeah, I don't think the answer is yes. Especially whenever you have things like Octo VK online. You've got an Atma weapon. You've got
Oh no!
like because White Dragon on the Veldt is always the worst.
Yeah, this is unbelievably awful. Unfortunately, you don't get the XP from this fight on the Veldt. You will get 50 MP, so we'll be able to learn a bunch of spells. And that is, of course, if the reward doesn't show up. If the reward does show up, then we get absolutely nothing from this fight. Except for the reward, obviously.
I mean, at this point, I think you definitely take the reward. Unfortunately, you do have to also sit through this death animation.
Yeah, come on. Come on, dragon, just
Come
die
on,
already.
come on, come on. Oh, yes!
Okay, so that is a
And
ghost sprite, so that means we're not going to get a character here. This is guaranteed Esper, Dwyer, as you mentioned earlier. So that'll put Mang up to 6. Yeah, Wander Down does have 6 Espers, and will not be getting their 7th as they get out of here, unfortunately. So yeah, I think we got to go get more characters to go get more checks.
Yeah, because Mang hasn't done the Season Thief yet, so that would only put him up at 7 Espers?
Yeah, and with realm checks, right? We do know that that Esper Mountain is an Esper, and it looks like Phone here is going to go check on the auction house. Glowing stones are available, so here we go. Let's giddy up and gamble. There are up to 2 Espers in the auction house here.
All right, so first is a no-go.
Yeah, so this is the $10,000 item, so this has a 50% chance of showing up. So if we buy this, it comes out of the pool, right? And then our Esper, well, excuse me, not our Esper, our 20k reward slot has a 50% chance of showing up. So if we buy this, then our Esper can show up more often. But Phone says, nah, I'm good. I don't really need a $100 ring for 50 grand. So I'm gonna try again.
So me personally, I will forget that auction house exists. I get so unlucky with this that I feel I waste more time trying for this. But then I see other runners get it on the first try, and it is just amazing when it happens. And I'm so happy for them. That's the thing.
Amazing or infuriating? I'm sensing you've chose the wrong adjective there.
Listen, this is a positive place.
Okay.
And I'm trying to be positive.
Yeah, so how the auction house works is you want to buy, at least in the world of Ruin, you have a known quantity of how often things will show up. So the $50,000 item will show up 50% of the time if you don't buy it. So that's why you saw the ring show up a couple of times. This Esper here, which is the $20,000 reward, has a 25% chance of showing up on the first try, and that goes up to 50 if you buy that $50,000 item. So if you have enough cash, you can sort of almost force this Esper to show up on the second try, given the probabilities, right? And then there's a $10,000 reward, which can be at 12.5%. Or if you buy the $50,000 reward, then that jumps up to 25%. So we'll see how that's Doom on that Tirado, which is nice, instant death for the final boss. We'll see if there's another glowing stone in here, because I believe, Dwyer, correct me if I'm wrong, but there are up to 2 Espers in the auction house in the Moogle Cup.
Yes, that is correct.
All right.
But it looks like Phone is going to go ahead and say, nope, I'm going to go do Owzers. And I like this play. But again, I hate Auction House, so
Yeah.
I'm a little biased.
Well, the thing with Auction House is I can understand it feels very much like RNG dependent, because it kind of is, even if you skew the percentages in your favor. However, it increases the value of going to Owzer's Mansion, because now, instead of just doing this one check while you're in here, you could potentially do 2.
Very true. I really like how Phone routed this in. And really, Owzers is not that long of a check. You do have 2 required fixed fights, but you can avoid the rest. And it's really not that long.
Yeah, I like this earlier than later, but it's not terrible. And speaking of not terrible, who is that on the shore?
That is a Celeste. Now, Celeste is nice, especially since we're hunting Espers, because she's got that free check in the basement, but she's got the first 2 in Magitech, which can only be Espers or items. So, very good find for Mang.
And we could certainly warp out after the second one, or we can continue on the minecart ride for a guaranteed either character or Esper. And did Wanderdown not go talk to Gao? I marked his tracker, but I don't know if he talked to Gao or not. So, you do have to actually talk to Gao in order to recruit them to your party. I'm just gonna leave this in limbo here.
Oh my goodness. You know, I was watching the Celeste over on Mang's side. I don't know, but oh, that would be awful if he forgot to talk to him.
Yes, he did. You gotta go back up and talk to Gao.
But he doesn't realize it.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate. It's not a very common scenario that comes up, because that's sort of like muscle memory, right? You go and talk to the reward after you're done with the check there. It looks like Mang's Mog learned Bolt 3. Maybe that's part of the natural magic for Mog. And Phone finding an imp painting a painting. So this is going to be good for him, potentially. No, it's not! It's just an experience egg!
Oh, I mean, you love to see the egg, but you hate to see it right now.
No,
this is not what you want to see at all.
No, a 58-minute egg. Throw it back.
Yeah,
throw it back.
That's a rotten egg. It stinks.
Oh, man. So this is turning out to be a fairly linear seed here, because Realm's progression, right? We found Realm at Phoenix Cave, but Realm did not lead to any characters. So we had to go down the loop of going to pick up Edgar, right? And then going to grab Umaro, and then going to grab Gao, and then going to grab now Celeste as we continue on this seed here. Let's see what's in the South Figaro basement.
Okay, so did Wanderdown realize what happened? Is he in World of Ruin or World of...
That's World of
He's in World of Balance.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, and there's character number 9 there to unlock the Kefka Tower skip for Cyan. Now we're finally getting some characters with more than like a couple of checks under their belt. That's Bismarck for phone. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, you find Cyan, and you have Doma Dream, and you have Mount Zozo, which are relatively quick checks, but that still doesn't get you to your Esper count.
Yeah. Well, Mang still has to Zen Thief to buy, I believe. We can go peek this here at Dome of Siege, and then we can go do Magitech. I like those better than doing Dream and Mount Zozo, but we'll see what Mang picks here. Because, again, this is something you asked me about before, Dwaya, about would you rather have a lot of characters or not a lot of characters? Now I can be choosy about my checks. Choosy moms choose checks. That doesn't work. Sorry.
I mean, it's a good try. I liked it.
Well, what about you? Do you like having, a plethora of characters, or would you rather follow a more linear path through a seed?
Well, I'll be honest, I've had a lot of seeds lately where I've gotten a lot of characters and I'm hunting espers, and I hate that feeling. So I'm the exact opposite. I think I'd rather find a lot of my espers up front, because then I can really pin down where my characters are at.
Alright, so Mang does pick up Siren, which is a really nice Esper for Final Kefka. We'll be able to mute magic on tier number 2. And has some cure spells that cure 3. Just needs, 3 more Espers? And they know where one is with Zen Thief, so it's just a matter of getting through the Opera House stuff here. Not Opera House. Where are we going? This place.
We're going Magitech.
Yeah, thank you.
Mag-
Losing my mind.
That's okay. We'll pick it up somewhere.
Meanwhile, Phone here is going to finally start to do the Mog stuff. So they will get 2 Espers and a Magimaster. So we'll see if they decide to go do Moogle Defense or not.
Well, I would hope that this late in the seed, you would just line those up one after another. Between Lone Wolf, Kefka and Arsh, and Moogle Defense.
Yeah, so Kefka and Arsh here is what Wander Down has given us. So that is the Ultros Chupon fight. Oh my goodness. Locke with 71 HP. Doing, what's 8 times 4? 32? 32,000 damage a turn.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so part of the problem with the Octo VK is this is cool and all, but this is overkill. He's actually wasting time with doing that many swings. It's great for Final Kefka. It's not great for all the bosses in between.
Yeah, I mean, very true. Unless you come up against a Magimaster and you kill it in one hit, or something like that. But you're right. It is a long animation, but oh my gosh, you're pretty much guaranteed that you can kill anything, and that's a lot of peace of mind knowing that.
All right, so Wander Down gonna head into the Moogle Defense here. Remember, they did Lone Wolf at the very beginning of the seed, so they just had Kefka and Arsh and Moogle Defense. We know that this is just a Valiant Knife here behind a Magimaster. So a bit unfortunate for Wander Down. Mang getting Shote there out of Magitech Factory number 1. So one step closer to go mode. Crusader there for Phone. So those two, actually all 3 of our runners rather, I should say, all have 7 Espers. So it's been an hour and 4 minutes, and this is still anybody's race, neck and neck here, Dwaya.
It really is. And the seed, you're right, the seed is very linear, so there's a way that you kind of have to progress. Right now, though, Mang is the only one with all the keys to that puzzle. Yeah, pieces to that puzzle. There we go. I'll mix my idioms.
Yeah.
There's actually a term for that, but I can't think of what it is.
He's got all the keys to the kingdom. No. Basically, yeah, with access to Celeste and now Cyan, he's got access to checks that our other 2 runners do not. And we know, since we have the omniscience of the booth, that you need to at least get to having Celeste in order to have enough checks to get to your Espers there. So the sooner our other runners go and get Celeste, the better off they will be.
But now here's the really interesting part. And, we're doing
Yes,
a
the
double
Thunder
header.
Shield.
Oh, no. So we're doing a double header. So we've got two
Mhm.
more runners later on. So we might see something different. I have the insider information that you did not have to get Gao or Celeste or Cyan to finish this seed. So I'm really curious what we're going to see in the other two routes.
Yeah, I guess if you could have done Auction House plus the Zen Thief plus, Auction House twice, I guess. Yeah, we'll see what happens for sure, but yeah, very interesting. As again, this is still anybody's race because everybody still has 7 Espers except for Phone, who will now have 8, and Wander Down is in a whole heap of trouble here, as they took a wipe to Magimaster. So, unfortunately, they are stuck in this cutscene until they reset.
Oh, that's like if you wipe it at Kefka and Arch for some reason. Ooh. And now the Moogles are in the way. Moogles, why?
They're just here to help. Secretly, they're annoying the heck out of all of us.
We could skin them all for Moogle suits. Just saying.
I'm sure there will be a couple of community members who will not be thrilled with that idea. I thought the Moogle suits were synthetic. I didn't realize they were made of real hides.
You know what? We'll leave that open to interpretation.
All right, sounds good. Mang here heading up to Mount Zozo, so looking to potentially get their final piece of the puzzle. Instead of going through the guaranteed character Esper route of the minecart, warping out and heading here. What is interesting, Dwaya, about seeds that are like this, that are very linear, it means that less of it is left up to routing, and more of it is down to just pure execution factor, right? So I know that we usually like to see a lot of divergence in seeds because it means that it's really fun and exciting and unpredictable. But I think for a true test of skill, having a linear seed is more appropriate for our runners versus one where there's wildly different paths here.
That's very true, and we see some divergence with the party makeup too. I believe Mang still has Gogo in his, and then you have Edgar and Setzer in Wanderdowns, and I can't remember what Phone has. We're getting ready to see. So there's even some there is some divergence in. Oh, that is not what Mang wants to see at all.
No. We don't want another character who has even more checks. We wanted we wanted our Esper, please.
So let's talk about something else that we haven't really mentioned. Mang got his skip with 10 characters. But then we have Phone down with 19 checks right now and still looking for another Esper. And Wander down with 16 checks and still needs 2 more Espers. So more than likely our characters or our runners are going to get their skip. What do you think about that? Because I know the check skip was added in Moogle Cup for Moogle Cup 2, I believe. How do you feel about that being in the Moogle Cup flag sets?
Yeah, I think it does well to prepare you for the Ultras League settings, right? In Ultras League, part of it is not just getting your requirements and going. It's also how efficient can you make your routing so that you are prepared for the last boss and shaving off as much time as you possibly can. And having the check skip will sort of prepare you for, okay, well, I could do some shenanigans by routing in a Toilet Atma, or if I route in more dragons, it will cost me now while I'm fighting them, but it'll save me in the long term because I could then save it with the Kefka Tower skip on the back end. Meanwhile, Mang showing off that Shadow is holding up the collapsing house, so Sabin leading to even more characters now, unfortunately, and we're going to take a tumble off of Barren Falls here, as both Phone and Wanderdown are done with their Magimaster fights, with getting that extra Valiant Knife respectively.
So between all of our runners, the only characters we haven't seen yet are Terra and the Old Man.
All right, Wander down talking to the Moogles, thanking them for helping helping him out there when fighting Magimaster. So Shadow was holding up the collapsing house for Mang. They reset out very briefly. And Phone looks like they're gonna go to Zone Eater. So it looks like Phone will be in go mode as soon as they are done through this Chancellor on the bridge gauntlet. Oh no,
That's
it's
awesome.
a Minerva! No! Oh no. You hate to see it happen.
What did I just miss? I was sitting here looking down at Phone.
Minerva at Barren Falls. Mang is still chasing this last Esper here. Oh, and he's going for the auction house. He doesn't even have Realm, but he's heading here for the auction house, and we know that there is an Esper Torado in the auction house at least. So they will finally get some reprieve here. They just have to sell off enough stuff to afford that that extra purchasing there. Meanwhile, Wander down here, stumbling into a shop. Are they gonna go? No, they did buy the Tizen Thief Esper already. Maybe this is also selling off a bunch of stuff to go by the auction house.
I mean, you do what you gotta do, for sure. And we've found a lot of stuff that can sell for a lot of money, so that should not be an issue. Now our only issue is, 1, not getting the Imp Robot, and 2, getting past these chests.
Yeah, so this looks like it's the other $10,000 reward, this Ragnarok sword. So in the auction house, there is a $10,000 either Esper or high tier item, depending upon how many Espers end up in the auction house. So this looks like it's the $10,000 item of the Ragnarok reward. So only one Esper, it looks like, was in the auction house today. Never unhappy to see a Ragnarok, but would have liked that earlier for sure.
I mean, yeah, most definitely. Now we just want to see that Esper.
Hey, there
Glowing
it is.
stone, there it is.
Yeah, usually for a lot of runners, the auction house is the last resort. I try and see if I could potentially snipe it early, because the thing about this Esper is that you're always getting it at the very end, which means you can't take advantage of any Esper bonuses it might have on it, and it's going to be much harder to learn any spells that you get on it either. So if you could afford to go to the auction house early, and that's a big if because you do need a lot of money, if you could afford to go to the auction house early when you're doing Realm's other Owzer's Mansion check, think about routing it in at that particular time instead of trying to do it at the end for a last resort.
Okay, Schwantz, we have our go mode for Mang, who is going to be getting his skip. We also have go mode for Phone with the skip as well.
Oh, man.
It looks like with 22 checks. So we are neck and neck at this point.
Yeah, Wander down, joining the others here in the auction house. You know the seed has been annoying when we have all 3 of our runners checking the auction house for their last Esper here. Yeah, neck and neck between our left-hand side runners here, Phone and Mang. Now, it's up to how these party members shake out. I tend to like to put a character that I know is going to be able to solo a boss on one of the side statues, and same thing with another one, and then send my other 2 up the middle, because they have to fight the most amount of bosses. And it looks here like we've got Welk, and it looks like Mang sent both Gogo and Mog on this side, so is going to send someone else down the middle. If I had to make a guess, it would probably be that Valiant Knife offering Genji Glove monstrosity that we've been hanging on to for a while.
Oh, for sure, because levels are king in Worlds Collide when it comes to physical damage. So you're definitely going to want that lock swinging an Atma weapon with a Valiant Knife.
Yeah, that's a bit of a yin and a yang situation here.
Yeah.
It's a very unorthodox strategy that we don't see very often, but shout out to Phone, who has some interesting plays. They both.
You know what? I'm okay with that. I like it. Interesting.
Oh, hey, it's Kefka.
Oh, we didn't even have to do all the statue fights. Look at that.
Well, he just wants to come down for a little bit of an appetizer. He needs some hors d'oeuvres to go back to his monument of non-existence and wait for us to actually be ready for him.
So we've had first Kefka, but what about second Kefka?
I always save room for second Kefka. Alright, so Phone showing us the metal statues there. It was Welk for Mang on the right-hand side, rather, which can be one of the more annoying bosses to find in Kefka's Tower, because if you don't basically kill it in 2 turns, he will go into his Gru hole, and if he happens to slow your one good character, then he's definitely going in the Gru hole, which is exactly what happened to Mang there. One of the more annoying bosses in KT.
I'm having to mute my mic from laughing so hard at the term Gru hole.
Well, I mean, what else do you call it? Yeah, so Dragon Lady K.
Well, from now on, I'm calling it Gru hole.
There you go. Oh, and get your dabbing Yetis in the chat, folks. We have another Yeti appearance for Mang. Yeah, so the thing about Quick and Mimic and Super Balls that Mang did earlier, Super Balls, they tend to lose their effectiveness probably around when your bosses are level 15, 16, 17, something like that, because you're probably going to do more damage with spells or other things. However, Magimaster has super high magic defense, super high physical defense and evade, so the Super Balls were basically the only thing that he could have done in that fight to cut through all of that at that particular time. So really nice heads-up play there, even if the Super Balls probably had lost their value at that time. If that's the only way you can deal damage to Magimaster, you gotta do what you gotta do.
And that is a dead Yeti for Mang. And a very annoying Gru hole fail snail. Oh, I'm using that every time I can now.
The fail snail. I like the fail snail too.
Yeah. The Welk.
Yeah, so one thing you can do if you have Umaro in this fight against Welk is if you hold the run button, it will annoyingly flash that you can't run away at the top of the screen. However, Umaro also won't attack, and the ATB for Welk will fill up as well. So you could potentially avoid all of this sitting around and waiting for the head to come out of the Gru hole in order to speed up this fight to make it a little bit faster.
That's also a great strat to use for Chad when you have Yeti as well.
Yeah, see how much babysitting we have to do for Yeti? Well, listen, in Worlds Collide...
Listening at all.
In Worlds Collide, you learn everything the hard way. There is no, tutorial for all of this stuff, right? Everybody has to learn it on their own terms. And learning it the hard way is the best way to learn, because then you will never make that mistake ever again.
And speaking of great things to learn, Mang did a really good heads-up play of using, it was either Odin or Raiden, to take out Narapa, who is susceptible to instant death, but also has Reflect, so Doom doesn't work. So you definitely want to use one of those area of effect instant death spells like X-Zone, or in this case, whichever one they used. I didn't see Odin or Raiden, but it was one of them.
Yeah,
so very good heads-up play
I think we
there.
got both of them in this seed, so it's hard to tell.
I know. That's why I was like, I don't remember which one it was.
But yeah, Narapa is famously not a boss, it's just a time waste. And part of that time waste is you can have tools to kill it, but still can't actually damage it. Alright, so Wander Down grabbing their Genji Glove from their Phoenix Cave Dragon here, and we'll be getting their Realm in just a second. Unfortunately, Realm only has one Esper out of both of their checks, so Wander Down is going to have to keep on searching, and maybe that is also heading back into the auction house in the World of Ruin without the Owser's Mansion check here. Meanwhile, Mang is stepping up to the plate.
Yes, he is. Now, he has all the tools, because Mang has Siren, he has Instant Death, and I know we've seen Golem and I think Fenrir, so we have all the tools to deal with Final Kefka at this point.
Yes, and just to keep everybody in mind, these are the times that are currently in the clubhouse. Dragon Lady K, 119.21, Actual JP, 121.12, and E Ninja, 141.58. So I think it's safe to say our first two times are safe between these sets of runners. We just have to get before a 141. So that is the goal for all three of our runners here, is to get under our 141.
Okay, so we have our tier 1 of Final Kefka. Now the great thing about Moogle Cup flags is that multi-summon is turned on. So we can throw out that Golem or Fenrir and will really help protect our characters from the hard-hitting short arm and just anything that this tier could throw at him, so that you can really protect that True Knight, or not True Knight, Valiant Knife user if need be.
Yeah, Golem is great to protect you from physical attacks. It'll block physical damage for as much HP as the caster has when they cast the spell. So right now, Mang using Golem with Edgar. That means 4,915 damage of physical attack will be blocked by that Golem spell. And that is damage that would have landed. So that little block that Edgar did there with the Ragnarok doesn't count towards that 4,900 damage that I mentioned.
Yeah. And then we also have, we can multi-summon that Odin Raiden spell for the instant death for both tier 1 and tier 2. So we don't even have to worry about saving it for one tier over another.
Yep, which we definitely did already in this fight, because I don't think Long Arm is getting hit at all. And nice usage of turn economy, to borrow a term from Morpheus there, on Mang. Waited until the head was dead before swinging with that Octo VK for lock, because if we accidentally kill that balled up fist before that face, we will get a death counter of Quake there, and we definitely don't want that. So really nice, good, tier 1 here from Mang.
Very true. Now, hot on Mang's heels is Phone, who's about to enter his tier 1 too. Now, we've got a little bit of a wild card with that Yeti, so we're not going to be able to control him and where he hits. I don't know if we learned a float spell to kind of protect from that Quake.
No,
but
we do
our
have
HP
Golem.
values... Yeah, our HP values might be high enough to eat a Quake if we have to.
Yeah, definitely on 3 of our 4 characters there, Umaro notwithstanding. Mang up to tier number 2, and I don't know if he wanted this proc here. Wanted to get Locke's HP down a little bit, but that might be a little too much.
Yep,
Whoops.
that is a very deadlock. But hey, you raise him and he's got critical HP again.
Yeah, there you go.
We've got Jabron TR raiding with a party of 2. Thank you for that raid. Welcome in, and you're gonna see the end of 3 of the 8 runners for the Moogle Cup Battle Royale 8-man bod race. That was a lot to say.
Wander Down, taking out number 128 there at the end of Owser's Mansion. Unfortunately, this is going to be just an experience egg for them. So not what they're looking for. Mang, meanwhile, has muted magic and I believe has instant death tools. Now they are just making sure that they get their life 3s up just in case something gnarly happens. Alright, so it looks like
So here's
Tools
what I'm
may not be
wondering.
dead. But oh my goodness,
Not
look at the
quite.
damage.
Oh, that is beautiful. I absolutely love that. Now, we do have to worry about killing off magic and hit at the same time, because if magic quarters and then hit 10 hits, that could be a tier 2 wipe at that point.
Yeah, definitely do not want that. Meanwhile, Phone up to tier 2 as well, with that Atma weapon and Valiant Knife on lock, and then the 8 Valiant Knife strategy here from Yeti is just going to let Yeti cook. I've never had what a Sasquatch has for supper, but I'm interested to see what it tastes like.
I'm pretty sure Yeti ate his Wheaties that morning. Now, listen, Phone did his tier 1 and a good portion of his tier 2 in the time that Mang is still in his tier 2. So I am guessing that Phone's offense might be a little stronger.
Yeah, I think it's dependent upon if the Yeti behaves. Right now, he's still swinging away with 8 Valiant Knives, but as soon as Yeti decides to start body slamming multiple times, then we're going to have a problem.
Or we're going to have a problem in tier 3 when Yeti decides that all 8 hits are going to go on sleep. Sleep.
Yep.
Before we can get any calmness protection up.
Yeah, so Mang heading up to tier 3 there, as we've got Esper number 8 for Wander down. So they just need one more to get in the tower. And they will definitely have skip, because they already have 21 checks here. Mang,
But now the question is...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, Wander down, I don't think has noticed that he doesn't have his Gao. So I don't know what checks are available to him now.
Yeah, maybe he's just seeing it now, seeing Umaro's cave being blanked out. Maybe that's the realization point.
Yeah, and I'd be doing some pacing too if I found that out.
Alright, Mang there does take out Girl first, and did use Quick with Lock, and with doing about 6,000 damage per swing, multiply that by 8. That's a lot of damage, Phil Swift. And here comes the calmness, the block from the Edgar, and we're on to tier 4 already. So that's what an 8-swing Valiant Knife can do for you folks.
That's what an 8-swing Valiant Knife that you can control can do for you.
Yeah, really nice final Kefka fight here for Mang all around.
Yeah, good job to him. Like you said, you mentioned that turn economy earlier, and definitely seeing that on Mang's side.
Alright, opening Merton here from Phone. Looks like we might have to pick Yeti back up. But Yeti is the one with the Valiant Knife after all, so maybe that's not such a bad thing. Meanwhile, Wander down back in the auction house again here to get their last Esper. We do know that there is one in the auction house. It's just a matter of how patient or impatient can you be. Meanwhile, Mang just going in with that lock. Should be able to kill Kefka in 2 turns here. So there's the quick.
Yeah.
And there's turn number 1. And here comes turn number 2. And time will be on the first crack pow here.
Very good. Final Kefka for Mang. GG's to Mang.
129.04 official time there. So get your GG's for Mang de la Mang. Great runner. They were my mentee, actually, in Moogle Cup number 2. And they are coming back strong in Moogle Cup number 3 here. So really nice to see them putting in a really good time here.
So right now, without knowing having the other 2 times right in front of me for the next 2 runners, Mang de la Mang is in the top 3, I believe.
That's correct. They are currently in 3rd place.
Yeah, with DLK in 1st, actual JP in 2nd, and Mang in 3rd. And Phone is coming up real quickly onto their tier 4. And I have a feeling that Yeti's going to make quick work of Kefka too.
Yeah, so Mang having access to that quick spell, really controlling the last 2 tiers of this fight, was able to pull away a lot of time there from Phone. So that sort of is the difference here, even though Phone was catching up during the first tier of Kefka, Mang just basically pulled away with great usage of that quick spell. And there's that body slam that I was talking about. Come on, dude. Now is not the time to be doing that. It's time to swing away.
Okay, that's a good life 3 on that Yeti. The thing about Final Kefka is unless your HP is incredibly high, he's going to kill you in 1 hit. So it doesn't matter what your HP is. If it's at 1, and if you can swing that Valiant Knife, then hey, go for it.
Alright, Hyperdrive out and Realm hitting the deck there. So Realm did have Sketch, and we could have gone for the swag sketch. Do you know what happens if you sketch Kefka?
I do. You get one of 2 options. You either get a Havoc Wing, or you get an Ultima. And an Ultima from Realm, I would take her magic power into consideration, would be a quad 9 for sure. And that's a GG's for Phone.
Yeah, 131.17 is Phone's time there, so get your GG's for Phone. Not very far behind Mang de la Mang. That's a really good time for this very linear seed. And you had to do like almost 20 checks just to get through this seed. It was pretty brutal for our runners here. Yes, we did have Valiant Knives all over the place. However, you still had to get there, right? So, hi Mang. So yeah, let's go ahead and put that off, because these are VODs, so some of our runners might cut their videos as soon as their run is done, so I will fade them to black here. I'll put on some tunes, I guess, as well.
Alright, Wanderdown just got his skip with the Opera Dragon. So now they've got their unlock. They are going to be heading to their Kefka Tower, going to be taking on their statue fights, and we know that the statue fights are not particularly nasty.
No.
A little bit of a time waster ones with Narapa and Welk, but nothing that's going to be in any danger.
Yeah, so let's see how they decide to approach Kefka's Tower here. Yeah, all of the bad bosses were outside of Kefka's Tower, right? We had Doom, we had Doom Gaze, we had Magi Master, we had 3 Stooges. Who else was out there? Did we have Guardian as well? I don't remember.
No, we didn't. We didn't have Goddess, Spicy Chicken, or Guardian. We just got everything else that was nasty.
All the bad stuff.
I mean, I'd rather see it out in the world than in Kefka's Tower.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, as far as Wanderdown knows, you know, he's got those 2 probably in the back of his mind. There's also Inferno and Scare Force that can be quite nasty whenever you only have 2 people in a team, and Can't Wait Trick as well.
Yeah, plus, what was that? You called them Scare Force? It's great. I might, you like the Grew Hole, I like Scare Force.
I mean, I would love to take credit for that, but I can't. But yeah, that's one that I've heard floating around.
Particularly nasty during Kefka's Tower, because you have a reduced party, and when they are that high of scaling, then you get sort of into the levels where you get a launcher into an AoE attack, and your party is just like, well, I can't survive this. Thanks for playing. I guess I'll just die. Question mark with old man and turtleneck meme here, right? So,
right.
That's how I find Scare Force inside of Kefka's Tower sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen it. I remember seeing a meme once, and it was like this pig doctor that says, "I diagnose you with dead." And I feel like that's very appropriate for those kind of fights, too.
Yep. Alright, so it looks like Wander Down is going to be bubbling up our Yeti. So get your Dab and Yeti emotes in chat if you got them. What happens if you sketch Yeti? Maybe do like an ice spell? Maybe? I don't know. I've never tried. I wish I could give green cherry to one of your one of your characters. 100 times power up. Yes, let's go.
I mean, you're pretty good with code. You're a smart man. Can you get on that?
So here's a funny thing, right? The 100 times power up thing. It's not real. It's BS.
I mean, but there's a placebo effect. Can you just make it tell me that I have that?
Yeah, your characters will start glowing in plaid. Yeah. I'll get right on that.
Okay, put some linguine in that spaghetti code.
Yeah. So we do have Wander Down here finishing up their race here. Unfortunately, since they did not finish within the top 2 here, and there were 2 other times that were already better than what we have seen on the stream already, they will not be advancing out of this round of the Battle Royale. However, just to get to this point in the Moogle Cup, you still have to beat half of the competition, right? So they did a really good job in that portion of the bracket. So always good to have that under your belt as well. And in sort of these types of new player tournaments, I think less important is where you actually finish, and more important is if you've improved week upon week upon week, right? I know that was something that I had gone over with my mentee, is that, hey, even if you don't make it into the next round here, are you way better off today than you were when you had first started, right? And that's the goal of the Moogle Cup. So I'm hoping that our participants getting that out of this tournament.
Well, and a couple things to add on to that. With this Moogle Cup, we've added something new, which is the Moogle Sonata, which is the ones that don't progress are still continuing with the Moogle Cup, still working with their mentors, so they're still able to get that extra experience and the one-on-ones with the mentors that we have. The second thing is, one of the things I've been doing is, before this, whenever I've had to run races, was the Moogle Cup campfire seeds. And I can tell you the amount of progress that I've seen from the beginning of those with some of our Moogles to the last one that I ran, having the veteran players join in, it has been tremendous, and it's been a really awesome thing to watch.
Yeah, I appreciate all of the mentors for putting their time into doing things like campfires and to helping out our prospective new runners or new players to get some more experience within the game, right? So I think between having the group community sessions and by doing the Moogle Cup tournaments themselves, I think it's been really good in raising the bar for the community overall. I think there was someone who posted in I believe the Ultras League chat about what the discrepancy of the times are between some of the stats for some of the practice seeds. Yeah, I'm pulling it up right here. And the time differences are basically like 1 minute between each of the quote-unquote, tentative divisions, which is nuts. There is a 9.5 minute difference between Mega Elixir, which is the top division, and Tonic, which is the lowest division. That's 9.5 minutes of difference, and that's it. There's 4 divisions in total, right? So it's insane how competitive and how close things have been getting recently.
Well, I've only been in the community since last fall, so I am a relatively new member still. But I have watched a lot of previous content, which is what got me into the community. But being able to see the caliber of runners now, like the newer Moogles would have scared the pants off of me in Moogle Cup 2. So we are just getting some awesome, competitors in this community. And it's just been amazing. I love it.
Yeah, and it just goes to show how good our onboarding process sort of is. I know that we do this Moogle Cup event when we have enough signups, but if we don't have enough signups, there are tools that you can use if you go to our website, ff6worldscollide.com, and join the Discord. There are ways where you can submit a Google form to get one-on-one sort of coaching, like a live coaching session. I know I just did one recently for a newer community member, and I had a blast doing it because not only do they learn stuff from you, but I learn stuff from the people that are just approaching the seed for the first time with maybe a different perspective. And then if you don't need that sort of hand-holding or interaction, you can also request that somebody review one of your VODs and say, hey, I think I did okay this race. What can I do better? Or in my case, I know that I submitted a VOD one time because I was 10 minutes behind basically everybody else in one of my Ultras League seeds, and I was like, what did I do wrong here? So it's a good way to gauge sort of what you're doing well, what you can improve on, and there's always ways that you can improve. So please utilize those resources while they're out there.
Yeah, I actually just recently submitted a VOD review, and Glue did it for me on Sunday. It's very, very helpful.
Did he go all Simon Cowell on you? I told him not to.
No, he was very kind.
Okay.
He only called me out on a couple of things. Very nice.
Yeah, so it's funny. We will see my mentee in the next race, Sawyer. But whenever he gives me a VOD to do a VOD review, he's like, you could be, as nice or as mean as you want to be. And there are times when I will type in all caps and have, question mark, exclamation points, like, why are we doing this? Why are we opening up chests? And he's like, well, I know you get mad at me when you type in all caps, so.
What? Hold up. Are you telling me that you're actually very emphatic and dramatic? You, Schwantz?
No, couldn't be.
No. No.
No way. But that also is to say that everybody learns differently, right? There isn't one way to learn the game, and there's also not one way to teach. So it sometimes is good to have multiple perspectives of things. So I know that some of the people that are even in the Moogle Cup, this is not their first time. This is not their first rodeo. As we mentioned, Mang de la Mang was in Moogle Cup 2. I believe Sawyer was also in Moogle Cup 1. So sometimes having, pairing the right person for the right Moogle will certainly help them out. And not everybody likes to play the game the same way. So it's helpful to get a wide spectrum of perspectives here. We've got some commenters in the chat. Sigil says JP might have gotten some grunts, and Saberwolf says he uses a ruler, so he's going full Catholic Sunday school style on his mentee. Great, I'm glad to see that I'm not the only disciplinarian here.
No, and see, I think honey gets you farther than the stick, so DLK, I think, had it really easy.
Yeah, well, it's also important to communicate, like, hey, I want you to be brutally honest with me, or, I want to get better at this specific thing, right? So I think with my mentee recently, we went over, I think in his last race before this one, he had a 14-minute Kefka fight, and he did really good the rest of the seed, but I was like, man, that Kefka fight was pretty rough. And what I'll do is I'll do a VOD review, and I'm going to nitpick every single thing you do in this Kefka fight. So there's a 5-page dossier on, hey, you did this when you should have done that. And you can get to that level of nitty-gritty if you really want to, or it can be something as broad as, hey, I'm not sure what to do when I turn the game on, right? Because I've had those before too. So anything you want to learn, our mentors will be happily able to teach you.
And not even the mentors. The one thing I really love about the Worlds Collide community is you can go into the beginner's chat, even if you've been around for months and months and months, and ask a question, and pretty much anybody in the community is going to try to answer you. So there is, you don't have to have that mentor title to receive help from somebody or to get help from somebody, and that's a really nice thing about the community.
Yeah, that is a great point as well. Alright, so here is Wander Down up to Tier 2. Using that Fenrir cast on Tier 1. I actually like using Fenrir better than Golem on Tier 1. Just because Golem has extra animations, and oh no. Woohoo! That Doom Toss got me scared there for a second, because that would have been game, set, match with the amount of damage that Locke is doing right now. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that would be terrifying. But again, we're also getting into that realm of if Locke accidentally kills Magic and Hit at the same time, that can be pretty ugly too.
Yeah, so it looks like both Tiger and Tools are dead, so it's now just Hit and Magic. So this is, where you take your turns one at a time. You don't let Locke go until you know that it's just Magic left, because Magic is muted. And when Magic does get muted, Magic can never actually kill you. They can only counter with Quarter, which doesn't kill you, and Dispel, which doesn't kill you. So you could take your time to get Locke up with just the Phoenix down here, mind you, and you will be fine going into Tier 3. The problem with Tier 3 is that it might open with Merton, so Locke might die after the first turn in Tier 3, but at least they won't be dead in the transition between 2 and 3, because then that's the worst part.
So here's something really interesting about what Wander Down did. Wander Down was really smart. He knew that Hit was probably about to die, and he did not queue up a whole bunch of actions after taking Hit down. Therefore, his characters were available to get Locke up before taking the risks of killing off Magic, moving up to the next tier, and losing their big damage dealer. So very smart on Wander Down's part.
Yeah, so part of this final fight is that it's very different from the rest of the fights in the game. I would say about 90% of boss fights in this game are just queue up your most powerful attacks and the boss probably falls over and dies. There are some where you might have to think about it, but you have to think about queuing up your attacks and then queuing them up all at once. The final fight really tells you to not do that. It's basically the opposite of how you take fights for the rest of the game. And it's sometimes hard to wrap your head around, where you have to watch the spell animations play out anyway. You might as well watch them out and get into a menu so that this way you can counter something that the boss does and you can know exactly what is going to happen on the very next turn, instead of oh no, the boss got to go this time and I'm not ready for something else that might happen next. So it's a weird thing, this last fight here.
So I can tell you that was one of the hardest things for me to learn, was that hurry up and wait mindset almost of, get there, do your damage. Okay, put the brakes on. You have to stop and you have to actually think about what you're doing. I still can't count damage on this tier, by the way. Can't do it. Cannot math that fast.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
What I do is I say to myself at the beginning of this tier, what is the highest damaging attack that I have? And in this case, it would be Locke's fight command. So what I would do is I say, all right, I want to have Locke's fight commands waiting for when I first see a train or a Meteo. And if I see a train or a Meteo, then I know immediately the next thing I have to do is I have to use fight with Locke. So here comes train. So the next thing I do is immediately we're using fight with Locke. If you don't have like an offering VK build, this might be throw a shield at the problem or use bum rush. But that's how I basically get through this fight without counting damage, is I know as soon as I see Meteo or Train, that means the boss is under 10k HP, so get him to 0 as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah, and since we have that lock with the VK offering, we don't even have to worry about taking off that blindness, because he's going to hit 100% of the time.
Right.
So you can definitely save an action with that.
Yeah,
and he's ready to go for tier 4.
Yeah, and that's part of it too. If your answer to that question is, well, I'm going to cast Ultima, you have to be prepared to have one character to use an echo screen to clear off a potential train, and then have that character that is going to cast Ultima, right? So you might have to take an extra step depending upon what your answer to that question of what's my highest damaging attack. Or it could be, well, I can use, a Ragnarok Genji glove, but if I get hit with Train, then it has to be Break a Shield instead, right? That's sort of how you can pivot from one to another based on where you are in tier 3. Because I don't count damage either. It's probably a good idea to do it. I just, I can't math that fast sometimes.
Yeah, my brain doesn't work.
Yeah, it's more helpful to do it, but it's not necessary if you follow that sort of method of knowing what your strongest attack is. And this should be a GG here in just a second. Wow.
That's what I was gonna say. With that fallen one, oh
wow.
Okay,
we got super lucky there because that could have been an ultimate counter. Yeah, that's what I'm worried about is the ultimate counter. I thought that would have been enough damage to kill it, right? Because 7 times... Oh, no, it's not. 7 times 8 is 56. So, yeah, we were still going to be left over with just a little bit. And that's going to be it. GG's for Wander Down. Just absolutely obliterating that last tier. Using Fallen 1 to your advantage. That's the other thing. You can't be afraid to use Fallen 1 to your advantage if you have a Valiant Knife on the final boss. It gets a bit risky, obviously, if you play too fast and loose, but it's one of those things where heal up a character to eat an Ultima and then keep swinging away with that Valiant Knife user.
Yep.
So, Dwyer, where does that leave us here? So, this is how we started. Here's how it started. And we'll show you here's how it's going now. We have Dragon Lady K 119.21, still the leader of the pack. Actual JP 122.12 rather. And since we only have a 1v1 matchup coming up, that means that those two will automatically be going on to the semifinals of the Battle Royale portion of this event. We have Mang De La Mang 129.04, Phone with a 131.17. So that is your top 4. And we have E Ninja with a 141.58 and Wander Down with a 151.29. So, unfortunately, those last 2 runners have been eliminated from the Battle Royale portion of the Moogle Cup. But we still have 2 more runners to watch. So, I think we're going to take maybe a 5-minute break. And then when we come back, we'll watch those other 2. You have any other comments, questions, complaints on the first run, Dwyer, before we take a little bit of a break here?
No, it was a lot of fun. I got to see a lot of checks that I didn't get to see whenever I did my run with DLK.
Yep.
So that made it actually very interesting for me. It didn't even look... I was able... Of course, it was the same seed, but it was a new experience, and that's really cool to be able to see what other runners do, and being a mentor, kind of knowing probably what that mentor is whispering in their ear at the same time. So it's really cool to watch, and I actually cannot wait to see the last 2 runners. So you guys in chat, don't go anywhere.